Hello everybody and welcome to a brand new Elder Scrolls Online bonus build video for the week. Now somebody asked me if I can make a Templar solo Magicka build, and after some iteration and some thought-provoking stuff, I came up with this. And now last night on Thursday, which I don't know if this is coming out Saturday or Friday yet, but we'll figure that out. On Thursday night, I tested this build along with the Warden solo build, and basically what I did was I went out in the world, but did some delves, did some dolmens, did some dungeon runs, and like normal dungeons, and did some public dungeons, and then did a couple world bosses, and tested the builds to see if they were viable. And I have to tell you guys, I didn't think that I would enjoy myself this much. This is a really cool build. So this build here is the Battle Priest. Now I know what you guys are thinking, Battle Priest, what? Basically it is what it says. It's a Battle Priest character. It does utilize 2 destruction staves. You can swap one out for a resto staff if you want on the, and I would suggest if you do that, do it on the main bar, because the main bar you don't really need another staff, like another destruction staff. You can actually get away with a resto staff. So but let's get into it. So this is a solo build made for doing dungeons, but like public dungeons, delves, dolmens, world bosses, farming gear, getting resources, that kind of thing. It can be played in normal dungeons solo, in some, not all, of the normal dungeons. Same thing with vet dungeons. And then it can be used as a tank in normal dungeons and vet dungeons. It's not going to be the best option, but it can tank. It will be able to tank most of them. Now, when it comes to trials, I would suggest not using this in a trial as a tank. Unless it's on normal and your group's okay with it and they're not like looking for speed clears, they're just looking to farm stuff, then it's great for that. So let's get into it. Looking at the character sheet here, you can see 33k Magicka, 25k health, 12k stamina. We are sitting at a 1222 magic recovery. This is a Breton Templar. Now the reason I chose Breton is Bretons get a high magic resistance. They also get reduced Magicka costs. So I thought, well, you know what, I'll try it out and see how it works. And it works out really well. So as you can tell, we have 2700 spell damage. We have a 39% crit. It should be higher, but the reason it's probably not is because of the monster set we're running. We do have a 26k spell resistance, 19 here. I'm going to go ahead and just show you guys this real quick. I think it's this button. Resistance is 31k 25. That's just really, really good for a like just a solo build. I mean, just crazy resistances. We are running the Lady Munda Stone, and we do get major proficiency from Inner Light on both bars. Now, going past all this, we are running Witch Mother's Brew as well, and Witch Mother's Brew gives you health, Magicka, and magic recovery. Alright, moving on to the gear. We are running some different setups here. We are running Julianus, like the other Magicka solo builds. Pretty much the same setup, guys. You're going to have medium helm, and we are running Nirneth for the monster set, and I'll show you why in a second. Nirneth's really, really, really powerful. So, if you didn't know. Especially on a Templar or on a Warden, because Wardens get 4% or 6% increase to magic damage, and Templars have kind of a cool buff that gives them like 25% total in magic damage. So, but we are running a reinforced heavy shoulders with a medium infused helm on the Nirneth. We are running the Julianus 5 heavy. This is a 5 heavy setup, by the way. So heavy chest, heavy gauntlets, heavy legs, and heavy boots. Now the boots and the belt are Nirnhone, and the belt is light, so we can have that 5-1-1 setup. Reinforced on the boots, reinforced on the shoulders, and then Nirnholm belt and gauntlets with the infused on everything else. And tri-stats on the bigger pieces. Now, moving on to Druid, we are running 3 willpower with a magic recovery and 2 spell damage. Really good set. I mean, it is a really good set, but you could, if you wanted to, you could change that out for Wrath of the Imperium. I would suggest not to, though. Alright, moving on to the next thing. We have an Asylum Staff. Now, this isn't a perfect staff, and there's a reason why I made it an imperfect one. Because it can still work. Now, with this one, you have to... Every third cast of Force Shock will always apply Burning, Concussed, Shield status effects. The Force Shock cast must be made within 10 seconds of each other for this effect to occur. So you have to use this staff in a weird way, and I'll show you in a second. We do have a Crusher enchant on this, and then on the back bar we are running a Maelstrom Lightning Staff with weapon damage. The Maelstrom Staff is whenever you put down the wall of elements, any damage done in the wall of elements increases your light and heavy attacks by 1341. So a Fire Inferno and a Lightning. And on to the skills. Now, I did say I was going to explain this when I get to the skills. I'll show you. So, with this build, we are you want to make sure that the passives you unlock are all your class passives. No matter what, just unlock all of them. When it comes to your weapons, get the destruction passives, and you can unlock the restoration passives if you want to run a resto staff on the main bar. And I'll explain why you might want to in a second. Okay. Armor passives, because we are wearing the light, medium, heavy. Get the 3 light passives. The 3 medium passives, and the reason why you want to be a Breton, just so you guys can see, Magic Mastery reduces cost of Magicka cost by 3%. Now, if you go over here and you look at light armor, we are using 1 piece of light armor, which reduces the cost again by 2%. That's 5%. Being a Templar, you get Restoring Spirit. Reduces Magicka, Stamina, and Ultimate cost by 4%. That's a 9% reduced cost to all magic abilities while in heavy armor. So, really good to have that, and that's why we have it. Medium armor, we have the top 2 passives, the bottom one, and heavy armor, all passives. Moving on to the world skills, just these 2 passives. On to the guild. Fighter's Guild, get the Intimidating Presence, even though you don't really need it, and Banish the Wicked. This is for Ultimate Gen. Mage's Guild, get all the passives because you are using 2 Mage's Guild abilities. On to the Undaunted. You can get Inner Rage if you want to tank with this build in like normal dungeons. You can tank with it, and you can tank some vet dungeons with it. I'm not going to go through the list of all of them, but you can. Undaunted, get the 2 passives. Alliance War, you don't have to, but if you are going to tank vet dungeons, make sure you get Aggressive Warhorn, and your group allows you to tank with this build. On to the support side, you don't need anything. Racials, all the Breton passives. Crafting, make sure you get the medicinal use from alchemy and provisioning. You get the 2 food things here, Gourmand and Connoisseur. And then let's go ahead and go over the skills. So on the main bar we have Force Pulse. Force Pulse is really good for you because it's kind of does some AoE damage, which is kind of nice. And then if they were already affected by Burning, Shield, or Concuss status effects, that's how they take the extra damage. But this does Flame, Frost, and Shock damage. So you're not going to get any extra bonuses in there because you're not a High Elf, you're not a Dark Elf, you know, but you still get that reduced cost. Next up we have Vampire's Bane. Now the reason we have Vampire's Bane on here is because of the Dawn Wraith's passive. Let's see if I can find it. Right here. Emulate. Or Illuminate. Illuminate gives you minor sorcery, which increases your spell damage by 5%. And you do have a way of getting major sorcery. So you get a 25% increase in your magic damage. So, And that's all frost, flame, shock, it doesn't matter. You get 25%. So that's why we have this here, is to get that benefit. Next up we have Blazing Shield. You can use the other shield, but Blazing Shield is better. It just explodes, does a lot of damage. The shield itself is not too bad in strength. 9k. So, and then the next ability is Elemental Drain. Now when this explodes, by the way, it has a chance of proccing the Burning Light, which is, as you can see, 4,050 extra magic damage, and it's a 25% chance, and that can affect all enemies that are around you. So we're using Elemental Drain to apply Major Breach. It also gives us Magic Return, because it applies Magic of Steel, and it lasts for 24 seconds. So you need to keep this applied quite a bit. Next we have Inner Light. This is for the Max Magicka and Major Prophecy. That extra spell damage is really good from the Max Magicka, and then the Major Prophecy, the extra crit is good. Then we have Shooting Star. This is a AoE damage ability. It does fire damage. It also can generate ultimate for each enemy hit and by the blast. Moving to the back bar, we have Blockade of Storms, because we are running a lightning staff, and this has a chance to set enemies off balance. It's a really small chance, but it can still be applied. The next ability we have is Ritual of Retribution. This does a heal, and it does damage over time. So it's a really good one to kind of self-sustain you, and do that as well. So the next one is Degeneration. This is a damage ability, but it also gives you Major Sorcery, and it has a 15% chance to heal you for 115% of the light or heavy attacks you do. So it's a good way to just maintain health. Next ability is Restoring Focus. Great ability. Gives you Major Ward, Major Resolve, increasing spell and physical resistance by 5,280. It applies Minor Vitality, increasing healing received by 8%. Now remember, we're wearing 5 heavy, so we already get 8%. That's a 16% healing received, and we get another 2% from passive in champion points. So that's a 18% healing received. Inner Light again, and we get Minor Mending, which increases our healing done by 8%. So we do get a lot of healing received and a lot of healing done. Well, we get 8% healing done. And then we are running Inner Light again for the Max Magicka and Spell Critical. The next ability we have on here is one that you can kind of mix around. You don't have to have it. I have it here mainly because of its benefit. It does good damage. It does a good CC, and it does major protection or major main, reducing the damage the enemy does by 30%, and this lasts for 10.4 seconds. So that's 10 seconds of major main you can have up, but it's not the best option. There is other options you can run here, like you can run Warhorn, or you can run the Destro Staffs. This, or and I keep saying or. You can swap this to the front bar, put it here, and use your lightning staff up front. Use a Resto Staff on the back bar, and then this way you can have the ultimate from the Resto Staff, Panacea, which is really cheap, and you can get major protection and major damage buff for you while you're soloing. And on top of that, then you can use something like Combat Prayer on the back bar, so you can heal yourself for a little bit more, and then you can run Blazing Spear back here instead of this. So you can become kind of an off-tank healer kind of character, and support for a group. You'll be kind of tanky and have the capability to heal and DPS all at the same time if you want. Makes dungeon runs a lot smoother. But this build here, that's why it's called the Battle Priest, is because it is a damage dealer with some like group support built in, but it's very minor group support. Alright, so on to the champion points. Very similar to the last builds, guys. 37 in Ironclad. This, it reduces damage taken from direct damage taken by 15%. Moving on, we have 43 in the Hardy, 43 in the Elemental Expert. These both reduce pretty much all damage by 15%. We have 37 in the Thick Skin. This reduces damage taken from damage over time by 15%. I've already went over this once, so I'm not going to do it again, so I'm just going to keep going. 16 in Expert Defender. This reduces light and heavy attacks by 10%. 56 into Bastion. This increases the effectiveness of damage shields by 10%. So that's why we have Blazing Shield, is to get that extra 10% out of it. And then 8 into Quick Recovery. This is where we get that 2% healing received. Moving on, we have 23 in the Warlord, increasing or reducing our break free cost by 10%. 16 in the Bashing Focus, reducing our bash cost by 10%. Moving on, we have 75 in the Arcanus, increasing your magic recovery by 14%. And then 43 in the Tenacity. This increases magic and stamina return from your fully charged heavy attack. Since we're using 2 magical weapons, we only get magic return. We're rank 5 heavy, that's 35, or 25, 35, and then another 30, 65% return on heavy attacks. Alright, moving on. Shadow Ward 56, we have 20% block cost reduction, so that saves us some resources and stuff. We have 23 into Tumbling, reducing our dodge roll by 10%, and 4 into Befoul. Now, the reason I have Shadow Ward up 20% is because you do block a lot playing solo, and you do, you know, like bash and dodge rolls, so that's why the points are placed the way they are. And then moving on to the final trade, we have 51 into Elfborn. This increases our healing, our critical heals, and our critical damage by 19%. That's why we don't have anything in the Blessed, is because we already get good heals, and if they crit, they're just going to heal for more. And we have Minor Main, or Minor Mending. Elemental Expert 43, this increases Flame Frost Shock, and magic damage by 10%. Remember, we're a Breton, so we only get 10%. Moving on, we have 35 in the Staff Expert, 56 into Master at Arms. This gives us 20% increase into our light and heavy attacks. This increases our direct damage done by 20%, which is light and heavy attacks, some of our abilities, things like that. Force Pulse is a direct damage, so we can increase the damage output by those. And then finally, we have 51 into Thaumaturge, increasing our damage done with damage over time effects by 19%. And that is our champion points. So, I always like to show the builds in action, so we're going to do that. And always do your heavy attacks on your lightning staff bar. Oh my gosh, dude. Really? In this build, yeah, you can have some resource issues on some boss encounters, I'm not going to lie. But it's nowhere near as bad as it looks right now. Come on, buddy. Sorry, guys. Got a little too concentrated in the fight there. And goodbye. And that is it. That is the boss. Dead. Thankfully. But as you can see, like, solo builds have to be mobile. They have to be able to do things that most people, you know, can't do. Because you're playing to be self-efficient. You're playing to be not just self-efficient, but self-sufficient, you know, self-reliant, all that kind of stuff. So that's why we have the higher health. That's why we have the resource return, the higher resource return. That's why we play these builds the way we do, is because we have to be self-reliant. So the build does that. It has self-healing, pretty decent. Now you can, I will say this, you can change out if you want. I would suggest going with Honor the Dead, and you can swap this out on the back bar right here for this. But that's up to you. So I like this setup the way it is. I mean, it works out really good, and you can solo a lot of normal dungeons with it. If you need more AoE, though, you can just put Blazing Spear on the front bar here, but do not get rid of Vampire's Bane, because you need this. So, and it's a really great ability. But that's pretty much it. And that is the Battle Priest. So, hope you guys like it. And if you guys did, it'd be great if you guys could hit that like button. If you guys want to see more videos by me, you can hit that subscribe button. Other than that, I want to thank you all for watching. Until next time, have a wonderful day. And this guy might see you in game. Bye.